Daf Mem Amud Beis, or we'll begin Daf Mem Amud Aleph, the last line, the bottom line of the Amud. V'azlu Tamayu. We learned previously Machlokes Rav Shimon and Tanakama is Vidui Ma'akev. V'azlu Tamayu, and they go according to their own reasons. The Rashash explains that this is not the typical, the common V'azlu Tamayu that we find throughout Shas. V'azlu Tamayu normally means that both of the Mandamrim, they follow the reasoning, and it's they follow the reasoning in another machlokes. Over here, it's not the Azlu Tamayu, it's not both of them. What we're going to bring a raya for is only Rav Shimon, not the Tanakama, number one. And number two is, it's not the same reasoning that will be applied to a different machlokes. It's the very same din that we're talking about over here. It's whether the vidui is ma'akev. Al Kopan of Azlu Tamayu, we see that this machlokes, we see it's mentioned elsewhere. The Sanya was taught in the Brayso, Yamad Chai Lifnei Hashem L'chaper Lo. The pasuk says, Yamad Chai, it should be stood up alive before Hashem, L'chaper Lo, to be mechaper on it. The pasuk says, V'asar Asher Ola Lo V'agora La'azazel, Yamad Chai Lifnei Hashem L'chaper Lo, L'shalech V'yisrael La'azazel Midbar. So that's what the pasuk says. So it has to be alive. It has to remain alive. Ad Malsa Yezokak Lamud Chai. How long, till when is the Soyer Amishalech? Till when does it have to remain to stay alive? At what point? Ad Shaz Matna Doma Shel Chavera. It means until the time of the sword of Hashem, until there's the Matan Domim of the application of the blood of the Soyer LaHashem. Rav Yehuda. That's what Rav Yehuda says. Rav Shimon Omer ad Shas Vidui Dvar. Rav Shimon says that he has to be alive, it has to remain alive until the Kohen Gadol completes the vidui on him. So therefore, you see from here, the Rav Shimon holds that vidui is ma'akev. So you see Rav Shimon's shita expressed clearly again over here that the vidui is ma'akev. My kamiflagi, what's the basis of the machlokes between Rav Yehuda and Rav Shimon? Get a sign like we taught in the Brayso L'chapim. The Torah says that Asar Asher Ola Alav V'agora La'azal Yamad Chai L'fnei Hashem L'chaper Alav. That it says L'chaper. What kapara is it referring to? It has to stay alive, stand alive until the kapara. But kapara is damim akasim medaber. It's referring to the kapara damim, the matana of the blood. It says that he completes, he's finished doing the kaparas HaKodesh, and that's referring to Malahalim b'kaparas damim. That's referring to the kaparas damim. So here also, Avkan b'kaparas damim is referring to the kapara of the blood. The Rav Yehuda, that's what Rav Yehuda says. The pasuk says v'chilam b'kaparas HaKodesh v'soil moed v'smizbeach v'hikra v'sasor achai. So that context over there, the kapara is talking about the matan domim. So therefore, when it says Yamad Chai L'fnei Hashem L'chaper, Rabbi Yehuda holds is referring that it therefore has to be alive until the kapara, the matan domim. But Rav Shimon Omer L'chaper Alav, it says L'chaper Alav on it, but kaparas Dvorim Akasa Medaber. It's referring to L'chaper Alav. It says Alav. It's referring to what is the kapara of the Soyer HaMishtalech, the kapara that's involved with it, which is the vidui that is said on the Soyer HaMishtalech. Coming back now to the machlokes, whether the hagrola is ma'akev or not. So we had two different versions, whether in Rav Yehuda, who says that Dvar Manasim b'Big Delam B'chutz is not ma'akev, with the hagrola, which is done, the big delam b'chutz, is it ma'akev or not? And Rabbi Yochanan says that it is not. It's not ma'akev, and Rabbi Yanai says that it is. So let's bring a raya from the following: Tashma Shalom Talmid Rabbi Akiva. The Talmidim asked Rabbi Akiva, Allah bismol ma'ashiyachilamin. If the girl for the shem came out in the left hand, can he change it to the right hand? It's a siman toiv if it comes in the right hand, and the left hand it's not. Can he switch it to the right hand? Amar lehem, he said, Al titnu makom l'stukim l'erdais. He said, don't do this, because by switching it, you give me a pesach for the tzedukim to rule over us. They'll make fun of us. They'll show that we can do whatever we want. We interpret it whatever we want. It says a gairol, and now you're switching it. So, Taima the Altit Namakum L'Tzukim Lirdus. Why is this not acceptable? Because it's giving a Pesach for the Tzedukim. But Halav Hachei Madrinalei. But if it's not for this, we would say that it would be permitted. Otherwise, we would say that it would be permitted to switch it. If you switch it, it's not being based on the Geirel. The Geirel is not Kaveya. If you switch it, and there's no Geirel, you're undermining the Geirel. So you see, nevertheless, that if not for this reason of Tzedukim, then you could do it. So V'ha Amra, but you said it according to Rav Yanai that the girl's mark, if it came in the Gavalta small, now once it's been the girl that has established that it's in the left, that the one in the left hand is for Hashem, how could you now switch it to the other hand? You're undermining the girl, and if girl's mark, then how could you switch it? Amar Rava says, what it means is to say is as follows: not to negate the girl, not to undermine the girl, not to just take what was in the left hand and now designate that one to be Lazozel, and to now say that the one that's in the right hand is Lashem. It's not to reverse what the girl did. What he meant to say is as follows: Ola girl small, if the girl had that Lazozel Lashem was in the left hand, it doesn't mean to now switch it and say that this is not the Soyer Lashem. This is the Soyer Lashem. But the question is, Dirshu, can you now switch it and take that Soyer, put it in the right hand of the Kohen Gadol? Take the Geirel that says Hashem, and take the Soyer that was in his left hand. Can you now switch it and put it now into his right hand? So, and Yamar Lahem, he says, Al tidnu makom l'tzedukim lirdos. And he said, no, don't do it because you're giving a Pesach for tzedukim. Meaning, otherwise you could do it because it's a Geirel. The Geirel then said, this Soyer is La Hashem, the one that's in his left hand. Then you have the lot that's Hashem, that's on it, that's placed on it. Just reverse it to his right hand. And he said, don't do it because you're giving a Pesach for tzedukim. But it's not undermining the Geirel. Taisus asked the question, what's the question to begin with? Why don't we simply say that Rabbi Kiva holds like Rav Shimon, that girl's not makif? What's your raya from here? So Taisus says that we wouldn't say this. Why is that? Because Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Chemia are Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva. And if we were going to say that it is not, according to Rabbi Kiva, he holds the girl is not ma'akev, then it will come out that the Talmidim are not following the Shita of the Rebbe, which is not mistaber to say. Therefore, we want to say that Rabbi Kiva holds the girl is ma'akev, and this is just doesn't mean to undermine the girl, it means just to take that girl, which is Lashem, that was determined to be the girl, the Soyer Lashem, that was in his left hand, to put it in his right hand. Now, let's prove from the following that it is ma'akev, Shema, ilu nemer es asor asher alov, if the Torah only said asor asher alov, ha'isi omer yenechenu alov, I would think that he has to put it on it. Right? He has to put it on. That he has to actually put the lot on the goat. Talmud Leimer Olav. It says not asher alav, it says asher ola alav, which came up. That it was drawn for it. Kevin Sha'ala, once you drew the Geirel, or once it was drawn, it was picked up the Geirel from the box, then that was determined, Shuv Ein Tzarech, therefore you do not have to place it on the Soyer. So Lamai, what is it referring to over here? That it says you don't have to place it. If you mean to say it's a mitzvah, meaning that's not even a mitzvah to place it on the goat, it's not even a mitzvah to place it there, certainly that's not the case. It can't be that. It says, the Pasuk says, V'nosan Aaron al Shnei Seirim Garala. So the Torah says that you have to place the Soyer on the Geirel. So it can't mean that there's not even a mitzvah to do it. And l'lav lakiv. What it means is lakiv, that if you didn't do it, it's not makiv. So it's coming to teach you that even if you didn't place it, by Kevin Sha'ala, once you've drawn the Geirel, then you fulfill the mitzvah. And even if you didn't place it, you weren't kind of the mitzvah, but it's not makiv. And you do not have to redo it. So doesn't that teach you that the hanach is not makif, but hagrola, but drawing the lot, that is makif. Amar Rava says, Haki Komer. Ilu Nemar Asher Allah. If the Torah only said Asher Allah, but it didn't say Allah, I would think that it has to remain there until the time that you shecht, the Surah Hashem. Talmud Loimer Asher Allah. It says Asher Allah. Kaven Sha'Allah is once Kaven Sha'Allah, once it was drawn, Shuv Einat Tzorach. Then there's no inyan, there's no need whatsoever to leave it there beyond that time. Meaning, you drew the gyro, you made the hagrola. Mitzvah, you have to place it on the side. Once you've placed it, there's no inyan whatsoever to keep it there further than that. Meaning there's no point at all to keep it there, even mitzvah after you've drawn the gyro. The mitzvah is just to place it, but nothing beyond that. The Torah emphasizes Asher Allah. Therefore, there's no inyan whatsoever to keep it there beyond that time. Tashma, I'll bring you a raya that Hagrola is ma'akev. Even according to Rav Yehuda, it's ma'akev, meaning, and it's a raya to Rav Yanai and Akasha Tiyufta to Rav Yechon. Because Tashma, we learned, V'aso chatas, the Torah says, V'hikriv Aaron es asora asher ol alav agor Hashem, V'aso chatas, he makes it into a chatas. So it says Hagayral Asa Seo Chatas. What makes it into a Chatas? Vaso Chatas, it says that Hikriv Aaron Sosora Shar Olav Hagayral. So it says Hagayral Seo Chatas. What makes it into a Chatas? The Gayral. Ve'ein Hashem Seo Chatas. But the declaration, the verbal declaration, does not make it into a Chatas. What makes it into a Chatas is Hagayral. Hagayral Seo Chatas. Shiyachol, because I might have said Shiyachol, well, I didn't. I would have said that it's a kal chaymer, that a verbal declaration should be kaiveya, because I would have said that Omah b'makom shalei kiddush girl, in a place where you have to determine which is what. And you, for instance, that when you have a zava yoleres, they bring a pair of birds, and one is an oila, one is a chatas, you have to determine it. But there it's not determined by a girl, there it's determined by a verbal declaration. So we see that a verbal declaration has a kayach is used more frequently. It's a stronger or more a dominant determination than a girl, because in those cases a girl does not determine it. You have to use a verbal declaration. So, the verbal declaration is what determines it. Is kaveya makam shekiddush girl in the case over here by the soil of the Yom Kippur, where the girl is kaveya and a din shekir kaddish Hashem. I would say that certainly a verbal declaration should be kaveya. No, this makes it into a chatas. A girl is a chatas, ve'ein Hashem is a chatas. It's a girl that makes the chatas, and not the shem. What is kaveya is only the girl. Now, this is a stam sifra money. Who is a man domer? It's Rabbi Yehuda. Katani, and it says Hagayral Isachatas, Vein Hashem Isachatas. It says the Gayral and not the Shem. So you see that it has to be a girl. Alma Hagrola Makva. So you see that the girl is Makva. Tiyufta the man domer Hagrola Makva Tiyufta. It's a kasha on the man domer who says the girl is not Makva. It's a kasha on Rabbi Yechanan, because you see over here that we're going according to Rabbi Yehuda, and we see that it is according to Rabbi Yehuda that the Gayral is Ma'akev. So therefore we see that it only supports Rabbi Yanai according to the Ikada Amri, according to the second version. But according to Rabbi Yechanan, it's a Tiyufta. We see that Rabbi Yehuda says the Gayral is Ma'akev. The Rishonim deal with the problem over here, Taisus and Taisus Shonim, that this seems to be clear that Rabbi Yehuda says the girl is ma'akev, but not for the reasoning that we gave before. But the reason that we gave before was because Shana Lav Akev, it's Tana like Kro, the Pasuk repeats it. Over here, it's because it says Va'aso Chatas, it says that the girl is Aso Chatas. So it doesn't seem to be consistent with really what we said before in the reasoning that we gave to Rabbi Yehuda. But perhaps it is, what it means to say is that meaning even without this, the Gemara to begin with did not have this, did not bring down this sifra, and it suggested the reason that Tony Lava calls of that Shana Lava calls of La'akev. And we see the sifra over here says the reason of that we darshan in the pasuk that a girl, Vasau Chatas, a girl makes it into a Chatas.